1940, a structural engineer named Domingo Poblete was asked to assess a set of ancient stone blocks at a site in Bolivia called Puma Punku. His job was to determine how they had been cut. He examined the angles. He measured the tolerances. He ran testing equipment across the surfaces. His conclusion: the stones had been cut to tolerances of less than a millimeter. Perfectly flat surfaces, perfectly square angles, interlocking grooves that fit together without mortar or fastening of any kind. He could not determine the method. The tools that would have been required, he said, did not exist in the ancient world. Puma Punku is 1,500 years old. It is not the only structure on this list with that problem. Throughout history, human beings have built structures that their own era should not have been capable of producing. Structures carved with precision that modern engineers struggle to match. Buildings constructed in locations that modern construction teams would consider nearly impossible. Underground cities built without any technology we can identify. Monuments with no surviving record of how or why they were made. In each case, the structure exists. It can be measured, tested, and examined. And in each case, the examination raises the same question: how did they do this? These are 7 ancient structures thousands of years ahead of their time. On a remote plateau in Bolivia, at an altitude of nearly 4,000 meters, there is a site that has generated more debate among engineers and archaeologists than almost any other ancient location on Earth. Puma Punku, meaning Gate of the Puma in the Aymara language, is a complex of enormous stone blocks, the largest weighing approximately 130 tons. They are not remarkable for their size. They are remarkable for their precision. The blocks were cut from 2 types of stone, red sandstone and gray andesite. The sandstone quarry was approximately 10 kilometers away. The andesite quarry was over 90 kilometers away on the other side of Lake Titicaca. The blocks were transported across that distance to a site at nearly 4,000 meters elevation and then cut. The cutting is what stops researchers cold. The surfaces are flat to tolerances of less than a millimeter. The angles are precise to fractions of a degree. The H-shaped channels that run through many of the blocks are identical, the same dimensions, the same depth, the same finish, repeated across dozens of separate stones. This level of consistency suggests the use of templates and precision tools that we have not found at the site and cannot account for in the known technology of the Tiwanaku culture. One analysis conducted by a team of mechanical engineers concluded that the only tools capable of producing these surfaces today would be diamond-tipped cutting equipment or precision milling machines. The Tiwanaku people are not believed to have had iron tools. They are not believed to have had the wheel. The gap between what the stones required and what the builders are believed to have had has never been satisfactorily closed. In June 1992, a farmer named Wu Anai in Zhejiang Province, China, decided to drain a pond that sat on his land. He hired pumps. After 17 days of pumping, the water level dropped enough to reveal what was beneath it: the entrance to an enormous carved cave. Curious, Wu Anai drained more ponds in the area. Beneath each one was another cave. When the draining was complete, 24 caves had been discovered, each one a vast hand-carved chamber, some covering areas of over 1,000 square meters with ceilings up to 30 meters high. Caves had been completely hidden for over 2,000 years. There is no record of their construction in any Chinese historical document. No mention in any text, any account, any administrative record from any dynasty. For a project of this scale, 24 cathedral-sized chambers carved entirely by hand from solid siltstone, the silence in the historical record is itself extraordinary. Researchers estimate that excavating the caves would have required the removal of approximately 1 million cubic meters of stone. At a conservative estimate of 100 workers working continuously, the project would have taken years. This was not a small undertaking. It would have required significant organization, resources, and labor. And yet there is no record that it ever happened. The most puzzling feature is the surface finish. Every wall, every ceiling, every pillar in every cave is covered in the same pattern of parallel chisel marks. Precise, consistent diagonal lines running at the same angle and spacing throughout all 24 caves. This consistency across an area of approximately 30,000 square meters suggests either an extraordinarily disciplined workforce following exact specifications or a tool and method that produced the pattern automatically. Neither explanation has been confirmed. In 1963, a man in the Cappadocia region of Turkey was renovating his home when he knocked down a wall and found a room behind it. Behind that room was a tunnel. He followed it. It kept going. He eventually emerged into a network of carved underground passages and chambers that descended floor by floor deep into the earth. He had accidentally rediscovered Derinkuyu, an underground city carved 18 stories deep into the volcanic rock of Cappadocia, capable of housing approximately 20,000 people, along with their livestock, food stores, and water supply. The engineering of Derinkuyu is difficult to overstate. The city had 52 ventilation shafts running from the surface to the lower levels, maintaining breathable air throughout. It had a fresh water supply via deep wells. It had massive circular stone doors, each weighing approximately half a ton, that could be rolled across tunnel entrances from the inside to seal the city completely against intruders. The doors could not be opened from outside. The city had designated areas for livestock, food storage, wine and oil production, a missionary school, and what appear to be communal spaces for long-term habitation. This was not a temporary shelter. It was designed for extended underground living, weeks, possibly months. The exact age of Derinkuyu is unknown. The Hittites are believed to have used it around 1400 BC. Some researchers believe it was originally carved much earlier. What is certain is that whoever built it understood ventilation engineering, water management, structural load distribution in volcanic rock, and the psychology of underground community living, all at a level of sophistication that would be impressive in any era. Open on the island of Malta, ancient sun-bleached stone, the Mediterranean visible. Then descend underground into the Hypogeum, the carved chambers opening up, the ochre wall paintings, the corbelled ceilings that mimic above-ground temple architecture exactly, but carved into solid rock 11 meters below the surface. On the island of Malta, 11 meters below a residential street in the capital Valletta, there is a space that researchers have described as the most remarkable prehistoric monument ever discovered. The Hypogeum of Hal Saflieni is a 3-level underground complex carved entirely from solid limestone between approximately 3,600 and 2,500 BC, making it over 5,000 years old. It covers an area of approximately 500 square meters and contains a series of chambers, passages, and a main hall with corbelled ceilings that precisely mimic the architecture of the above-ground temples built by the same culture at the same time. The remains of approximately 7,000 individuals were found inside the Hypogeum, evidence that it served as a burial site and possibly a place of ritual over a period of more than 1,000 years. But it is the architecture itself that continues to draw researchers. The builders carved columns, doorways, and ceiling treatments that replicated the techniques of above-ground construction in stone that was never meant to be removed. They were building downward into the rock, creating underground rooms that looked exactly like the buildings they constructed on the surface. The most extraordinary feature of the Hypogeum is acoustic. In 2008, researcher Igor Reznikov measured the acoustic properties of the chambers and found something remarkable. The main hall produces a resonant frequency of approximately 110 Hz, a deep male voice frequency. Sound produced at this frequency inside the chamber reverberates for several seconds and creates a physical sensation in the chest. Brain imaging studies conducted in the chamber have suggested this resonance may alter neural activity. Whether this was intentional, whether the builders of the Hypogeum designed their underground temple to produce this specific acoustic effect, is a question that cannot yet be answered. Across a remote plateau in the Laotian highlands, there are approximately 2,500 enormous stone jars. The largest stand over 2.5 meters tall and weigh up to 14 tons. They are scattered across an area of roughly 90 square kilometers in groups of 1 to 300. Nobody knows what they were for. The jars were carved between approximately 500 BC and 500 AD from several types of stone, including sandstone, limestone, granite, and a conglomerate rock. The nearest quarry identified by researchers is approximately 8 kilometers from the main jar sites. Transporting 14-ton stone cylinders across 8 kilometers of highland plateau and then placing them in precise groupings required significant organized effort. There is no surviving written record from the culture that built them. Local Laotian legend says the jars were used by an ancient race of giants to brew and store rice wine to celebrate a great military victory. Archaeological analysis has found human remains, burial goods, and ash around many of the jars, suggesting they may have been used in funerary practices. Some researchers believe they collected monsoon rainwater. Others believe they were used for the fermentation and storage of food. No single theory accounts for all the evidence across all the sites. What is agreed is this: someone quarried, carved, and transported thousands of multi-ton stone cylinders to a remote highland plateau. Over a period of approximately 1,000 years, they arranged them with evident purpose, and they left no record of what that purpose was. Coral Castle is the only structure on this list built in living memory, and it may be the most personally extraordinary of all of them. Between 1923 and 1951, a Latvian immigrant named Edward Līdzkalnis, who stood 1.5 meters tall and weighed approximately 50 kilograms, single-handedly quarried, carved, transported, and erected over 1,100 tons of coral rock into a castle near Homestead, Florida. The largest single piece he moved weighed approximately 30 tons. Līdzkalnis worked exclusively at night and refused all observers. In 28 years of construction, no one witnessed him moving a single large stone. When neighbors tried to watch, he stopped working. When asked how he did it, he said he understood the secrets of the ancient Egyptians. He never elaborated. When Līdzkalnis needed to move the entire castle to a new location in 1936, he loaded all the stones onto a truck without assistance and relocated the structure 16 kilometers to its current site. The truck driver reported that Līdzkalnis had loaded all the stones himself before the driver arrived each morning. He never saw him do it. After Līdzkalnis died in 1951, investigators searched his workshop for equipment that could explain the construction. They found a collection of hand tools, chains, and basic mechanical equipment, nothing that could account for moving 30-ton blocks alone. His personal notebooks contained references to magnetism and what he called the secrets of nature. The notebooks have never been fully decoded. Coral Castle remains open to visitors today. The method of its construction remains unknown. In 477 AD, a Sri Lankan king named Kashyapa made a decision that architectural historians still find difficult to fully process. He decided to build his palace on top of a rock. Not a hill, not an elevated plateau. A single vertical column of granite rising 200 meters straight out of the jungle floor with near vertical sides and a summit area of approximately 1.5 hectares. He built his palace up there, and around it he designed what ancient texts describe as the most beautiful garden in the ancient world. The construction challenges at Sigiriya were extraordinary. All building materials, stone, brick, plaster, water, timber, had to be transported up a 200-meter near vertical rock face. The palace at the summit included a swimming pool that held water despite being on top of a granite column, fed by a hydraulic system that used wind pressure and gravity to pump rainwater up from cisterns lower on the rock. This hydraulic system still partially functions today, 1,500 years after it was built. Halfway up the western face of the rock, accessible only via a narrow iron walkway bolted into the cliff, there are the remains of 500 frescoes painted directly onto the rock surface. They depict women of extraordinary beauty, believed to be the king's consorts or celestial beings, painted in a style and with a pigment quality that art historians describe as among the finest examples of ancient painting in Asia. 500 were originally painted, 21 survive. Their colors remain vivid after 1,500 years. Below the rock, Kashyapa designed a garden complex that covered an area of approximately 40 hectares, featuring symmetrical water gardens, boulder gardens, and terraced gardens, all fed by a sophisticated hydraulic network that managed water across the entire site. The water gardens of Sigiriya are considered the oldest landscaped gardens in the world. They still flood seasonally along their original channels, exactly as they were designed to in the 5th century AD. 7 sets of questions that remain open. Puma Punku, stone cut to tolerances of less than a millimeter, with tools we cannot identify. The Longyou Caves, 24 cathedral-sized chambers carved from solid rock with no record that they were ever built. Derinkuyu, an underground city 18 stories deep, designed for 20,000 people, engineered with a sophistication that would be impressive today. The Hypogeum of Hal Saflieni, a 5,000-year-old underground temple that produces an acoustic frequency capable of altering human brain activity. The Plain of Jars, 2,500 multi-ton stone cylinders on a remote plateau, arranged with clear purpose for reasons no one has established. Coral Castle, 1,100 tons of coral rock, moved and carved by a single man working alone at night, using methods he never revealed. And Sigiriya, a palace on top of a 200-meter vertical rock with a hydraulic system that still works 1,500 years later. The ancient world was not primitive. It was different, and in some ways that we are still mapping, it was ahead. Next, 5 ancient technologies that were lost and shouldn't have been. Things the ancient world knew how to do that we spent centuries trying to rediscover. That video is linked above. We will see you there.